Hi, BookTube. It's Gina. Happy Friday. How are you? I'm doing well. It's a little gray and drizzly here. Pretty typical Pacific Northwest weather. Last weekend we had one glorious, sunny, 50-degree weather day. It was incredible, but I'm looking outside now. Ever since then, it's been gray and drizzly. So I've just been reading, working, and enjoying some time at home. I have finished a few books, though, since we talked about books last that I wanted to share with you. The first book that I finished this year is This Rough Magic by Mary Stewart. You know, I love Mary Stewart. She writes romantic suspense. And let's see, this one was published in 1964. So she is one of my 20th century ladies. This was not one of her favorites. I enjoyed it. It is set on Corfu, which is a beautiful setting. It involves a dolphin, and it is a woman who goes to visit her sister, and there is a mystery happening on the island and a couple of murders. And I enjoyed this. I think the reason that I bumped it down from a 5-star was the setting wasn't quite as well described as some of her other settings. The final suspense, she usually has a big car chase or some big suspenseful kind of finale. And this one, it was a little unbelievable, but it was definitely still enjoyable, and I would recommend. Next, the next two books I actually read on my Kindle. The next book that I finished was The Mysterious Affair at Styles by Agatha Christie. This is her first Poirot novel. Actually, it's her first novel completely, like the first one she wrote, which was really fun. I think I've read this before, but I did not remember really anything about it. And while I enjoyed it, and I gave it 5 stars because I really did love it a lot, it felt like the mystery and the solution at the end was really complicated, much more so than it seems like some of her future stories are. And I was like flipping back and forth going, wait, what was that? What happened? So I enjoyed it, but, and I gave it 5 stars, but I don't think it was quite as good or well fleshed out maybe as some of her later books. The one thing though too that I've got, a friend of mine gave me this. This is The Bedside Bathtub and Armchair Companion to Agatha Christie, edited by Dick Riley and Pam McAllister. Introduction by Julian Simmons. And this is really a fun book. When I read an Agatha Christie now, I'm trying to pick this up. It's got summaries of the stories, but it's also got some really fun articles in here, like 10 Little Who by Pam McAllister, an article talking about the book, which was originally, I think, a name that we don't call it anymore. But there's an interesting article in here on that, on how the name sort of evolved. It's actually really interesting. So this is really fun because it's got some great back story and some history and some articles around the books that are really enjoyable. And then lastly, I read a Anthony Trollope Theclav Rings. And this I also got on my Kindle from the library. And this was good. This was not my favorite trollop. This is a theme this week. I liked it. I liked it a lot. So this was another one of his romances, a standalone, not any part of a series as far as I know. A love triangle, one man, two women, and I feel like it was very much a discussion of some of the social mores of the time, being a bad woman, being gossiped about. And it was really interesting the societal comments that this book was making. I feel like I gave this one 4 stars, and I feel like the reason I did that was because it felt like the plot and the story did not have enough meat on it to really support the length of the book. There was a couple of maybe 100 pages in the middle where I was like, oh God, I'm gonna pick it up. Is something gonna happen? Is something gonna happen? And it did, and it was good, but it left me feeling a little bit bored a couple of times in the story. But I love how Trollope explores relationships. What I really loved about this book is that, in some romances, in the last romance that I read, The Belton Estate, which was a love triangle with a woman and 2 men, it was really obvious. Like, one man was the good guy, and one man was like, you were like, oh, don't she's not supposed to marry that guy. Whereas in this one, it was much more nuanced and subtle. Like, both of the women, neither one of them were bad. One was perfect, but not as pretty. And one was beautiful, but was being gossiped about. And so it was really interesting how he juxtaposed those 2 characters, and I really enjoyed that part of it. So I had some fun reading this. Well, it's been this month. These are the only 3 books that I've read this month. I try not to say only. You know me. I trying not to judge myself for not reading as much as I would have liked to this month. There are so many books that I want to get to, and I just feel like I've been kind of not reading as much as I would like. So hopefully that will change coming up, because I do plan to get some reading done this weekend. So what are you reading this weekend? Anything fun going on? I'd love to hear about it, and I will talk to you later. Bye.